Hi boys, I hope all of you are fine and doing well. Today in this section we are going to study the second chapter of your lessons in history. This chapter is about the emergence of colonial economy. The purpose of this chapter is to study how the British economy and the policies that the British government implemented in India affected the Indians and reduced many to poverty and hunger. You will find besides this video two PDF files. One of them contains the scans from this history textbook of yours. This will be the last time we will be uploading the scans of the textbook. You are required to have the textbooks at the earliest. And the second file contains the detailed points of the issues, the topics that are covered in this chapter. And you will also find questions, both short type as well as long type. Some of the questions have been answered. You will also find some model long questions that are answered. And coming back to the chapter itself, this chapter contains 4 sections. The first section is about the transportation system and the communication. When we are talking about transportation system, India already had the road transportation system as well as waterways, but they were not adequate for the British to conduct business. So the British businessmen forced their government, forced East India Company to improve the system of transportation. While improving the roads and the bridges, as well as the waterways, the British also built railways in India. The first train ran from Bombay to Thane in the year 1853. While there were advantages in building of the railways, both for the British as well as the Indians, there were also disadvantages for the Indians. It looked as if the Indians were financing the whole building up of the railways. The British capitalists and the industrialists who were involved in building up of the railways had profited immensely by building up of the railways in India, and the policies were always favorable. The terms and conditions were always favorable to the British. In the second section, we are going to see how Indian economy, the traditional economy, was disrupted by the British policies. The British, and especially before 1857, we are talking about East India Company, had a monopoly in India. While the exported Indian goods were either prohibited in British markets or they were taxed very high, the imported goods from Britain to India were taxed very low if they were cheap, or if they had to compete with Indian goods, or taxed very high if they were very, very essential and not produced in India. Thereby, all these policies helped the British themselves. The second thing was the revenue collection system. The British were given the Diwani of Bengal, so to say, after the Battle of Plassey in 1757. Subsequently, they acquired also other territories all over India, and they collected tax in the lands that they held. The collection of the taxes was not similar all over India. In some places, they were taxed, the farmers or the peasants were taxed very highly, but in some places, they were taxed in different ways. The British could not have a complete picture year by year as to how much tax would be collected. So they wanted to have a uniform system. India being vast, a uniform system could not be had. So the first system that they tried, especially in Bengal, Bihar, Orissa, was called as permanent settlement, or it was also called as Zamindari System. The details of it is given to you in the file that you will find in the net. The second system is called as Rayatwari system. Rayat or Rayat means farmer, and this system was implemented with little modification in the south. After seeing the disadvantages of the permanent settlement, there were some modifications that were made by the British officials. And this system was implemented, the Rayatwari system was implemented in Madras and Bombay presidencies. Basically, it was in the southern part of India. The third system of revenue collection that was implemented in India was Mahalwai System. Mahal means also estate or house. Under this system, the villagers were responsible to submit a specific amount of revenue to the British government. Under this Mahalwari system, with little modification in the district of UP, in the district of Awadh in UP, a Talukdari system was also implemented. The details of it, you can find it in the file that we have uploaded. All these policies contributed to the reduction in the production of the crops and thereby reducing farmers and people to poverty. In the third section, you will find the development of modern industries. With the arrival of the British and the Europeans, there were many industries that were developed, mainly in the coastlands that around Indian territories. The British as well as the Indians established industries. In some sectors, the Indians could not compete with the British, but in western part of India, the Gujaratis and the Parsis were very dominant in the textile industry. But the policies that were followed by the British government were very biased towards Indians, and they helped the British government or British industrialists and the capitalists, and thereby there was a slow drain of wealth from India to Britain. In the fourth section, we see the British forest policy. And in ancient times in India, the forests were open to all the people, and people benefited from it. But it was the British who slowly started a managed forest policy. In 1807, the East India Company claimed rights over the teak wood. And in 1855, Lord Dalhousie issued a charter of Indian forest. It was a memorandum regarding the conservation of Indian forests. In 1856, Dietrich Brandis, a German botanist, was appointed as the first Inspector General of the forests. In course of time, many regulations and acts regarding the management of the forests were passed. All this either helped or alienated people from their own livelihood. In this chapter, what we have seen is slowly how the policies that are implemented by the British government regarding the industries, the transport, the forests, the revenue collection systems have helped the British drain the wealth from India to Britain, and consequently impoverished Indians, and their policies had been cause of many a famine in India, in various parts of India. Having seen this chapter, I would like you to be alert in the next week also to another file that I'll be uploading. It's about the projects. You are required to have a project that is made, and please, I would like you to follow the instructions that will be given in the PDF file and do the needful accordingly. All the best.